Ashtrays.com.
Hello and welcome to Ashtrays.com. You are watching an interesting and informative video on you want to have a healthy baby, easily quit smoking with less stress.
Please read the disclaimer carefully.
This is a very personal page for me to create. I smoked through all 4 of my pregnancies, and I see no reason to lie about it. You deserve to know the truth, especially if I'm going to attempt to provide you with support in quitting smoking. It's not going to be easy, but I have tips that may help you to reduce the amount of stress that you experience when you work to quit smoking. These tips should work for all kinds of people, pregnant or not, but I cannot make the claim that they will work for everyone, even if they worked for me. I didn't quit cold turkey, exactly, and I want to encourage you to consider quitting in a different way. Many of us are told that there are only 2 ways to quit smoking: cold turkey, or through the use of NRT, nicotine replacement therapy, and drugs. The truth is that there are many ways to quit smoking, and that your quit plan should be as individual as you are. Every woman who decides to carry her baby to term, even if she plans to give her child up for adoption, wants to have a healthy pregnancy and, at the end of it, a healthy baby. Yet many women continue to smoke throughout their pregnancies. Often, non-smokers look with disgust on those women who continue to smoke while their baby bumps grow. I smoked through all 4 of my pregnancies, and I faced a lot of judgment. You will, too, if you don't find a way to quit. Not every baby born to a mother who smokes, or drinks, is going to be born with birth defects or low birth weight, but all 4 of my babies were less than 8 pounds, and I struggled through my pregnancy with my youngest, who continues to be small at 6 years old. As many as 20% of women smoke while pregnant. White women were the most likely to smoke during their pregnancies, while black women and Hispanic women showed lower rates. 1 out of 5 white women smoke while pregnant, study reveals. Regardless, the point remains the same: women continued to smoke during pregnancy in spite of knowing that it benefits them and their baby if they quit. A cigarette habit can prevent you from becoming pregnant in the first place, or can result in low birth weight babies and problems for your child after birth, as well. Take this into consideration when deciding to quit, because if there is one thing I know for sure, it's that you have to want to quit smoking in order to actually do. The first step: decide to quit. The first step to quitting is deciding to do it. You have to actually want to quit in order to be effective in putting cigarettes away forever. It took me years to do it because I wasn't ready to quit and I didn't want to quit. When you want it, you'll be prepared mentally and emotionally for the process of letting cigarettes go. The first step to quitting smoking for yourself and your baby is to decide you're serious about making it happen. Nothing will happen easily if you aren't sure you're finished with cigarettes and their control over you. Step 2: set a quit date. If you're sure that you want to quit smoking for a healthier pregnancy, the next step is to set a quit date. Some sources will tell you to set your date within a week of the time you commit to quitting. I argue that you should give yourself between 4 and 6 weeks to work your way through a program that will ease you off the nicotine. The sooner you quit the better. Don't misunderstand me. No matter how you cut it, quitting immediately is better for you than giving yourself 4 weeks to get it down. But when you quit smoking, you're working on changing a habit, and that's going to take some work. Since you can't take NRT, nicotine replacement therapies, while you're pregnant, you'll need to exercise incredible willpower, or follow the steps listed below. Quitting cold turkey is highly stressful, and stress isn't good for your baby. The following steps will help to make quitting as stress-free as possible. It will always be a stressful process, but this should help to ease your mind. Step 3: determine your types of addiction to smoking. If you're struggling to quit smoking, You probably aren't just addicted to the nicotine in the cigarettes, but to the act of smoking. I've provided a table below to discuss the different types of addictions to smoking and how they work, so that you can review this and determine where you fit in. You may be addicted in more than one way, and that's okay. It's relatively easy to beat all of these types of addiction. The physical addiction is actually the easy part. I recommend writing down the types of addiction you think you're suffering, so that you can work through them. Remember to try not to stress while you do this. Don't panic, it's not good for the baby. Physical addiction. You're most familiar with the physical addiction to the cigarettes, and this is probably the part that you're most worried about. Won't it stress my body physically to quit smoking during pregnancy? When I was pregnant with my first, my midwife discouraged me from quitting because she perceived that the stress of quitting outweighed its benefits. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that quitting is worse for your pregnancy than continuing to smoke. Quit now for you and your baby. The physical addiction to nicotine is going to cause you some anxiety. There's no way to get around this. But bear in mind that this anxiety could last as little as 5 hours or as much as 5 days. It's incredibly rare that the physical symptoms of withdrawal last longer than that, as the nicotine has completely left your system by that point. If you can hold out for that long, you're already fit quitting, as long as you deal with the other types of addiction as well. Emotional addiction. Years later, when I look at my lifestyle now versus the lifestyle I had when I was smoking, I realize how often I rewarded myself with cigarettes. I was very much an emotional smoker. Cigarettes were a comfort when I was stressed, and I have severe anxiety issues, or a reward for going for a walk or working out, or for writing a chapter, or for knitting a few rows. Everything was cause for a cigarette. This is only one aspect of emotional smoking. You may use smoking as a means to comfort yourself when you're stressed or upset, sucking like an infant does, or to reward yourself, or the thought of quitting makes you so anxious that it seems pointless to quit in the first place, especially considering you're concerned about your pregnancy. Psychological addiction. These are the habits that you have associated with your smoking. Like the physical addiction, these are incredibly common. Some people smoke socially, or when they drink coffee, or when they're on the phone, or writing. This is very common. Most smokers smoke after a meal, or first thing in morning, or last thing before bed. These are the habits that you have associated with your smoking, and this is the psychological aspect of your addiction. Why do you smoke emotionally? What are your emotional reasons for picking up a cigarette, if you're an emotional smoker? Try the quick checklist to the right. This should help you to begin forming healthier habits. See Step 4, in order to aid in the process of putting cigarettes down for good. I recommend writing this information down somewhere. Maybe keep it in a quit folder that you can review when you're tempted to smoke, in order to remind yourself that you don't want to let cigarettes maintain their hold on you. See the video above. It features a teen girl, but it's highly relevant. What are your smoking habits? As with the emotional reasons, I highly recommend writing these down so that you can review them. Breaking these habits is the most critical step in breaking your addiction to cigarettes and smoking, so it's crucial that you follow the instructions and determine what your smoking habits are so that you can begin to wean yourself off the habits and replace those you can't wean. I've listed some common times that people smoke to the right. You're more than welcome to add to this list on your own or to comment here with your smoking habit. Step 4. Replace bad habits with healthy habits. This is where things can be fun, if you let them. Before you start to cut out the habitual cigarettes where habits cannot be changed, you'll start by replacing your bad habits with healthier habits. For example, if you normally smoke a cigarette after dinner, try folding origami instead. If you make one of these stars for every cigarette you would have smoked, You have a great visual in a jar of the progress you've made, even before you quit. You could also brush your teeth. Who wants to smoke after brushing their teeth and stink their breath up again? Or go for a walk. Replace the habitual cigarettes, wherever possible, with healthier habits. Instead of smoking first thing when you wake up, eat an apple. Not only does the apple help to make you more alert, but it's a healthy habit that replaces your cigarette. Use the teeth brushing trick right before bed. You don't need to replace every cigarette at the same time. Change one habit at a time, and don't worry about stopping. Just worry about replacing for the time being, and don't focus on the in-between cigarette. Step 5. Set a timer. If you're using habit replacement as indicated above, you're probably wondering how you get to those in-between cigarettes when your body is telling you that you need the nicotine. If you don't smoke a cigarette after a meal, for example, does that mean that you don't smoke at all before bed? Eventually, that's what it means. But not yet. Set a timer. Start by making yourself wait 15 minutes after a meal before you can smoke, or 15 minutes after waking up, or smoking 15 minutes before you go to bed. Then set the timer for 30 minutes. When you're comfortable with that, set it to an hour. If you can make it to an hour without smoking a cigarette, you've reduced your habit by that one cigarette every day. Between steps 4 and 5 you will eliminate your habitual, psychological, cigarettes and overcome your psychological addiction, leaving you with the emotional addiction, because by this point you've almost finished with your physical addiction. Step 6. Get support. The only way to beat the emotional parts of your addiction are to do it with a friend. Replacement will only get you so far, and then it's best if you're replacing your cigarette with a diary or with a friend. While diaries are wonderful, a good friend offers feedback and can remind you that you're worth it. Step 7. Get rid of cigarettes and ashtrays. This one should be obvious. Get all the cigarettes, all of the ashtrays, and all the lighters out of your house. Then they won't be a temptation to you when you're having a weak moment. You can do this. Step 8. Quit. If you've followed these steps exactly and without procrastination, you should manage to quit prior to the date that you set, as long as you didn't set an overly optimistic date. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you slip, you slip. So what? It happens. Just jump right back up on the wagon and keep cutting out those cigarettes, or simply put the entire pack down again. Most people need more than one go at quitting before they succeed. You'll have rough days. 5 years later, I still do. But you'll make it through this if you follow the steps above and you reach out for support. Best of luck quitting smoke. Thank you for watching this interesting and informative video. This channel offers motivational, inspirational, valuable and informative videos to soothe, cleanse and inspire your health, mind, body and spirit. You can find a lot of interesting videos on wide range of topics here. Stay tuned and keep watching.